In these times of uncertainty for our country and its people, we've seen a rise in conservative values, with the right-wing government simply clinging on. We propose an alternative to instilling fear into people. Jeremy Corbyn is just one of a number of people presenting to us a silver lining. With a broken system which seems to oppress its people, we have the option of building a brand new socialist system from grassroots. In today's episode, we'll be talking to Dr Chirs von Ruhland of the Green Party and Adam Johannes of Cardiff People's Assembly to find out what they're doing to help bring about positive change. The movement has already begun. Welcome, Dr Chirs.
Thanks.
Can you tell us how long you've been a member of the Green Party and a little bit about what you've been involved in then, please?
I've been a member of the Green Party for over 25 years. I've stood in council, parliamentary, UK parliamentary, European parliamentary elections, numerous occasions. So I've been a long-standing active member.
Yeah, cool. Had a lot of involvement then, and over that amount of time, a lot of experience.
I'm currently treasurer of Wales Green Party.
Okay.
It keeps me busy enough, and as I say, I've stood in plenty of elections. So I've done radio interviews, TV interviews, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Just trying to push the general green message across to people.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose obviously with the Green Party then, as opposed to sort of something like Cardiff People's Assembly, the focus is mainly on, issues entailing the environment predominantly, isn't it, I suppose?
That's what we've traditionally focused on because it is so important. We're completely dependent upon it. But we also have a huge raft of policies which address many social issues. So those recently we've been promoting as well. So we're not just a party of the environment. That's a very much a misconception.
Yeah. So that's good to know.
I mean, the most pressing issue, of course, for us anyway, or for humanity, is climate change.
Yeah.
We have now a climate change denier as environmental secretary in the form of Michael Gove. I mean, he actually tried to get climate change removed from the school curriculum, which is just appalling. The government supports nuclear power at a huge expense when we should be spending the money supporting renewable energy and insulating people's homes. That's where that benefits ordinary people rather than a small elite of rich individuals who benefit from investment in nuclear.
Absolutely, yeah. This is it, isn't it? It's all about how that money is just, being siphoned off then.
It's a reverse waterfall.
Into the
colossal sums of money are being shunted into huge organisations and individuals. They are hiding it away in tax havens. And those issues of tax havens, most of them, or many of them are certainly British, is being completely ignored. It's absolutely outrageous. Trillions and trillions of pounds are sitting in tax havens. And that money should be spent on people. That's what money's for.
Yeah. These values should be, coming from a more socialist perspective, really, shouldn't they? Like, and not, just sort of benefiting, like you say, just like a few people. It should be benefiting everyone.
Of course it should.
And that's what socialist values are more about, isn't it?
Well, green politics is aimed at providing an alternative to both capitalism and socialism. What neither of them actually recognise is the undisputable fact that we live on a planet. Our politics, our economics have to reflect this central fact. We have to have a society and economy which is fundamentally sustainable. Otherwise, we encounter the problems we're having now. We have climate change. So we've recently averted loss of the ozone layer. We've seen damage to forests. These aren't separate incidents. These are all a reflection of a fundamentally unsustainable economic system. And neither traditional socialism nor indeed capitalism address this fundamental issue. And that's where green politics comes in.
Yeah.
In a sense, we are socialists in the sense we want to reduce give much more control of people's lives to individuals, to communities.
Yeah.
It's got to be a grassroots involvement in politics.
Yeah.
Currently, the way the
Yeah.
political system works
Okay.
is that it's a lot of power is concentrated in the small minority, and people are disenfranchised.
Yeah.
They're disempowered. You have you have a voting system, the first past the post system, which makes it almost pointless in many constituencies to vote for anything other than the two main parties, and they are the ones who benefit from it. There's no political plurality in this country to any significant extent, because smaller parties just don't get a look in, because people don't perceive them as being worth voting for. They think it's a wasted vote, whereas with a proportional representation system you have a much greater political plurality.
Yeah.
We see that in local councils, where you have an opportunity to vote for several councillors in the larger multi-seat wards, and you see a variety. You see much more variety at local council level in the representation of people than you do in Westminster.
And obviously there's a lot of propaganda involved, through the mainstream media then as well. There are maybe, I don't think
It's
the Green
stirring up
Party's
hate.
even
You barely get a look in. No, I mean the
yeah.
media,
So that's
but
wrong,
like
isn't it?
Murdoch they have a lot of control over British politics. That's one of the reasons they are promoting exit from the European Union. The European Union couldn't care less about Rupert Murdoch and the Sun newspaper, whereas over in Britain they have a huge amount of influence.
Yeah.
So leaving Europe is something which will benefit them enormously. They can influence politics and get their nasty politics across into the British political system.
That's a really good point. Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of the policies which provide protection, which have come from Europe, are going to be swept aside. It's an appalling mess. That's why I'm certainly, and many people in the Green Party were in favour of remaining. I mean, nobody's saying that Europe was perfect, not by a long way, and it's very much pro-economic growth, which is something the Green Party is fundamentally opposed to.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chirs, for coming along today. That was great. So, we've just arrived back from London, where we attended a march with the Cardiff People's Assembly, and I'm here with Adam Johannes of Cardiff People's Assembly. Now, first of all, Adam, I'd like you to tell us a little bit about socialism, and then about sort of what Cardiff People's Assembly or People's Assembly is about, first of all.
I guess the idea of socialism is imagining what the world would look like if 7 billion people loved and cared for each other, because it feels that there's enough wealth in the world for everyone to have a decent quality of life, and yet we see huge social problems with people in poverty, a refugee crisis, a climate crisis, an economic crisis. And but I think what it's also about is, over many hundreds of years there was a struggle for democracy, but people, when they were fighting and dying for democracy, they were not just after the vote for voting's sake, but to shift wealth and power. Many people feel even though we have democracy, we haven't seen that profound shift of wealth and power away from the top of society to everyday people. They feel you vote every 5 years, but say if you live to the age of 80, then maybe, and you spend, 30 seconds in the ballot box each time you vote, well, that's like you've had half an hour or 10 minutes of democracy in your life, and you don't really have, particularly over the economy, where people feel we need democratic control over that to really empower people a lot more than is currently happening in our society.
Yeah. Can you also just tell us a little bit about, why sort of busloads of people from around the country sort of came to Parliament Square then, or marched and ended at Parliament Square today with the lovely Jeremy Corbyn amongst others sort of talking on the stage there, which was fantastic to be a part of. But what was that exactly about today as well?
I think we've just been through a very strange election, because in a sense the people who lost are acting like they won and felt like they won, and then the people who won obviously feel like they lost and are in disarray. And I think what's happened was the government, they went into the election saying we're calling this election to establish a mandate, a much better mandate for our policies, and then they obviously lost a lot of seats, so there's a sense they have no mandate and they're having to rely on the dinosaurs of the DUP from Northern Ireland in order to form up a government. And there's a sense that this government doesn't really have legitimacy, but really the parliamentary system is in logjam, because even though the Tories have just been able to scrape forming a government, but the opposition can't quite yet form a government, so there's almost a sense there needs to be action outside of Parliament to start to tilt the balance in this country towards an anti-austerity government that can really solve the profound problems that are facing us. Because I think we're really at the culmination of something which has been going on for 30 years, that a lot of people are facing problems, I feel, in their daily life, but politicians and the media haven't really been talking about this, so people internalize this. It means that people feel like there's something wrong with me, but I think these mass demonstrations start to bring people around to realize, well, actually these are social problems that we can change. And just talking about what's going on 30 years ago, I think we're at a crisis, I feel, not only in the affairs of this country but in international affairs. 30 years ago, metaphorically, Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher got married and they had a baby that they called neoliberalism, which meant that we saw a process whereby money became the essence of our democracy. The market became the template for all social relationships in society. We saw a huge transfer of public wealth into privatization, into private hands. The attempt to privatize everything, an assault on institutions such as trade unions, which stand up for workers' rights, and an assault on the idea of the public good or a social state. Increasingly, I think whole layers of society treated as disposable. Young, old people, disabled people, people from migrant backgrounds. And so I think really there's been a crisis in society bubbling for maybe 2 or 3 decades, where we have very rich countries but they're not really delivering the goods. Where people start to say, well, why should I work 40 hours a week and yet still be in poverty, still struggle to pay the bills? Or why in a very rich country should I really struggle to find housing, a secure home, to have a sense of security that I have at home that I can afford to live in? And so I think all these kind of things are really bubbling up, and I think coming now to a crisis point.
That's great. Thanks very much, Adam. Thanks for your time.
Excelsior.
Cheers.
Thanks.